Welcome to Coffee with the Sarlos. We are your hosts of the show, Karen and Kelly Sarlo. Whether you're struggling with grief or you just need answers, we connect you with spirit to find relief, clarity, and direction in life. We can help you move forward.
Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
I want to start in a chipper tone of voice because this is actually a bit of a rough session.
Oh, we're going to head fake them.
We are. This client session is a challenge for me personally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the guides gave me a heads up about that at the very beginning. So this is a gentleman, and we're going to call him Alex.
Oh, really?
Oh, and he's one of your favorite.
Two of my favorite people are Alex's.
Okay.
Let's not ruin this.
Okay.
Let's call him Sean.
Okay.
I know a few abusive Seans.
Okay.
Apologies to any kind ones out there.
All right. So his name is Sean. And at the very beginning of the session, just to set it up for everybody, he's by telephone. It's a half-hour booking. And at the very beginning of the session, he says, "Okay, Karen, tell me what you got." And I said, "Okay." So I just asked the spirit guides right away, what does Sean look like? What's he looking for? And they said, "Oh, heads up, before you get into any of this, Sean is a very abusive man. And Sean loves to bash people on Facebook. He loves to do Google reviews, and he's quite serious about doing them. And he seeks out opportunities to do it, to take people down. And he thinks that you are a perfect storm. You are perfect."
You are.
Yeah.
Your profession is.
Yes. And he in particular likes to seek out psychics, mediums, because he can say, "You're not accurate, you're not this, you're not that." He absolutely loves this, and he thinks this is high entertainment for him. So
Okay. Can I just explain something? Because I know we talk a lot about living with these gifts and whatnot. You say that, and my brain almost just like, you know how the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, like the doors just kind of like systematically unlock and everything slides into place. Everything in my brain automatically goes into, therefore, this was his attachment style. Therefore, this was how he was spoken to. Therefore, this is how he's compensating. And it's just this like cascade of information that falls into place to understand Sean's trauma.
yeah.
To have to get to this place of, I was going to say meanness, but I'm going to say guardedness or protection.
Yeah.
Right? Sean is in constant protection mode.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. That's a great way to explain as well. I know you said that's how your brain goes in and does it. You've described exactly how I also see that situation, and that the guides knew that. That's why they gave it to me. And they said, "We're going to ask you to remote view him." And obviously there's a reason that they're telling me to remote view him. That's strategic. That isn't, "Hey, just have some fun," or "We're going to give you some stuff to use against him." The guides don't ever see it like, "Oh, we're going to arm you to fight him." It's, "No, we're going to give you information that's valuable and pertinent to the session." So when I remote viewed him, I saw that he was sitting in a wheelchair. I saw that this gentleman is probably, and I really don't know how to guess a person's weight, but I would just say he's extremely obese. I see that he's balding and that he's got a ball cap on. I see he's in an orange t-shirt with like a bright orange t-shirt, like neon kind of stuff, with like a band on it, but I don't know the band, and I can't see the name of the band or anything like that. I just see it's a band. And I see that he's got green pants on. The guides say, "You're going to start by describing all of these things about him. And he's going to ask you how in God's name you know this. And we just want you to say that you're remote viewing. And he's going to ask you a few questions about that because it's actually going to trigger his interest, as opposed to just wanting to attack you." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And they said, "You're going to end up having to bring this up that he wants to attack you at some point, but we trust you. You'll get it at the right time." So I said, "That's fine." So I said, "Okay, Sean." And I told him exactly what the guides showed me. And he was really taken aback. And I say that in regards to the fact that he was just dead silent.
Yeah, I want to go back and pick on your language for a second. You said that the guides don't give you things to like, protect you or attack him or anything. And I want to just offer that they gave information to disarm in order to healthily de-escalate his intentions.
Yeah.
And I think that is beautiful protection.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means that they are for or against someone, right? Because it's not binary. Just because they arm you with something doesn't mean they're against the other person.
Exactly.
They're giving you information so that you can disarm someone, so that there can be actual healthy confrontation or conflict, because that leads to more connection.
Yes. Yes. So he was really quiet. And then I said, I'm just going to check in with you. Is that correct? And he goes, whatever, just go. And I said, no, I said, you have to participate. And he goes, pardon me?
Nice.
And I said, no, I said, you have to participate. I said, this is a relationship that you've just entered into. And he went, what? I called a psychic. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, you're just supposed to pump out information. And I said, and he says, and prove it to me. And I said, no. I said, that is not how this works. I said, I don't know any psychic mediums that are just pumping out information for clients. That isn't how it works at all. I said, it's a relationship with the spirit world and it's a relationship with you. We're in a triangle. And I said, and I want this triangle to be as healthy as possible because that means that you're going to get accuracy. And I said, but I am connecting to you. I said, the very first thing you consented to, Sean, was energy healing. And I said, and he goes, wait a minute, what? And I said, in the consent process, the very first thing you consented to was energy healing. And he goes, oh, I don't think I paid attention. I said, that doesn't matter. I said, it's energy healing, medium, medical intuitive, psychic, future, and all of these different things. I said, I listed 9 services and you agreed. And I said, so we're doing energy work on you at the very same time that we're giving you the information. And I said, but it's also critically important that you and I are connecting to each other because I'm talking to your soul, to your spirit guides. I said, you've called me because that is exactly what I do. And he goes, wait a minute. And you can see where he's struggling because of his own definition of what he thinks psychic or medium is. And now all of a sudden he's getting caught in, well, maybe I don't really know what it is. And now she's explaining to me that I'm actually in a relationship and whoa. I don't want to be in a relationship.
I think that's fair. I know that you have an educated idea of how this relationship does work, but most psychics out there do pump things out in order to prove, and that is how they function.
Yes.
And I won't speak to them being more or less, but it's a very different kind of intent in their own career for one reason or another. And if he's used to dial a psychic or people who just email you the information they get, he may be actually very, very used to just one-sided information that he doesn't get a say in.
That's right.
Which when you're not in a relationship actually can feel like an attack.
Yes. So I said to him, my intention is healing. My intention is to connect you to your soul and to your spirit guides. It's a conversation. And I said, and in order to be in a conversation, I said, we are in a relationship with each other. And I'm here as like the interpreter or the go-between so that you can actually speak to your own soul and your own spirit guides. And he went, oh, you can hear that he's like, well, and wait a minute, what did you just do? He goes, I don't even understand what you just did. I've called other mediums. I've called other psychics. They don't explain what I'm wearing. They don't know I'm sitting in a wheelchair. They don't know any of it. And you can see that what the guides did really was disarm him. And I said, I'm asking you if that's correct. And I need your reply. you must participate in the session when you're talking or booking an appointment with me. I said, now, if you don't want to continue the session because that's not the way you want to speak or the way that you want your sessions done, then that's totally fine. I said, but for me, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to offer you the information. You have to tell me if it's correct or if it's incorrect. And I need the truth, because if you don't tell me the truth, then I can't do a good session for you. So I said, so can you see how your participation is imperative? And he says, I need a minute. And like, he's super flustered.
The lessons of parallels about relationships in general are just filling my heart right now.
Oh, yeah, me too. And I said, and I can see an ashtray beside you. I said, and I can see pornography on a table beside you. And I said, the ashtray is not on the table. It's to your right and it's on the floor. And I said, the table and the pornography is to your left. And he's like, what? And I said, is all of that correct? And he goes, yes.
Good on Sean.
Yeah. And he goes, that is. He goes, okay. And I said, you were going to say this is pretty impressive, but you stopped yourself. And he goes, what the fuck is happening?
Karen Sarlos is happening.
And I said, is that correct? And he goes, no, just what the fuck is happening? I said, no, is that correct? And he goes, yes. He goes, just a second. He goes, did I consent to you reading my mind? Because I don't remember in the consent process, even like, he says,
what do people think psychic is?
Yeah. And I said, okay. He goes, I'm really, he's so flustered he can't get out sentences. I said, do you need a minute? Would you like time? And right there, there's just a shift in the silence. And I said, you just shifted. And he goes, what's happening? He goes, you feel the shifts in my thinking? And I said, well, more importantly, I feel the shifts in your feeling.
I love this. I just want to pause because this person who, and I'm going to pass the judgment here and you can tell me if I'm correct or not, but like this very lonely, isolated person is probably for the first time in a long time experiencing another human being who is truly on every level connecting to him, saying, I see you and I hear you, even the things that you're not saying. And that's terrifying, by the way. So his shift in moods or shift in intention is completely understandable.
Yeah.
And at every shift, and you saying, here's another one, he is understanding, holy crap, someone is connecting to me. Now he can choose to shut that down and stay in the fear and then want to go into attack mode. Or it may move him to the point of tears where he actually feels and allows the connection, which will change his life.
Okay, let's continue. Sean decides that he's going to answer the questions, and he says, this is all correct. And I said, Sean, can I take a time out in your session just for a second? And he goes, yeah. I said, I really want to thank you. I said, this is a big deal to me. I said, it's a very big deal that you book a session and that I'm allowed to connect to your soul and to the spirit guides. And sometimes that happens for hours before we even speak. I said, sometimes it starts occurring before I go to bed, the night before your session. Sometimes it happens all through the night where I get all your stuff all night long and I can't sleep because I've got some of your symptoms or your thinking and it's affecting me. And I said, I really appreciate that you chose to answer the question and with honesty. I said, because it also validates that all of the hard work that I've done for decades of my life is real and truthful, and that I really am connecting to you because the intention is to have an effect in some healthy way so that your life moves in a bit of a healthier direction. And he goes, okay. And I said, I'm going to continue. I'm going to listen to the guides. You went open and I'm going to come back again. And I have no idea where they want to go with this. And he goes, it's okay, just go. And there's a little shift there in the way that he's talking. And so I just went back to the spirit guides. I said, what do you guys want to say? And they said, well, we're just going to move on. You've done what we wanted you to do right there. So we're just going to tell you that he has a son. And I went, oh, okay. And they went, no. We got to give you more information. Don't you go anywhere. We need to download the whole file for you. And I said, what do you want me to know about the son? And they said, the son's born a biological daughter. And I said, okay. And this person's like mid-40s. Okay. Person meaning the son or person meaning my client? And they said, oh, no, your client is much older than that. The son is in his mid-40s. And he has done his transitioning really healthily. He has taken years to do it. He's thought about it. He's gone to therapy. He's seen doctors. He's done tons of work, tons of his personal research, just talking to people who've done it for the side effects, the symptoms, the psychological impact, like really super responsible to the degree that he is now in school studying psychology because he wants to graduate as a psychotherapist or some type of therapist where he can counsel and help people who are going through transitioning themselves, but where he has had the experience of doing it himself.
Cool.
Because he thinks that if he's got both aspects, the education and the experience, that it's going to make for a terrific kind of experience for other people going through it as well. So we want you to be able to say all of that, but we need to tell you a little bit more. The spirit guides start telling me that Sean's mom and dad are also obese and that they are very critical people.
Yep.
That they make fun of other people all the time. Mm-hmm. Too skinny, too smart, too rich, just too anything that is any kind of health or success or anything that they just have determined that they have failed at in life, really. Where there is a lot of jealousy, where other people have things that maybe they think that they want, but don't do the work to get.
Okay, as an Enneagram 1, that is not critical.
Oh, go on.
Critical, and there's healthy and unhealthy versions of it, but critical fair. Has some element of feedback to it. Right? And what you're talking about is someone who wants to humiliate.
Yes, this is exactly it.
And this is, someone who is healthy or unhealthy, okay, who has critical qualities, right, or being critical. They are picking at something for the sake of improvement, for the sake of being better. And like I said, you can do that in a good way or a bad way, healthy or unhealthy. But when you are just trying to pick someone apart for the sake of humiliating them, putting them down, positioning yourself above them or them below you, that's different. Okay. That's just straight up abusive.
Yes. And that's what the guys were explaining about the Sean's parents, and that he's grown up in this kind of life, and as a result, he's doing the very same thing, but that his son refuses to continue the pattern in the family, and has decided, I am not doing that. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to make a living out of helping other people. I want my life to be full of love. I want my life to be full of connection. Trying to humiliate other people leaves you isolated. Mm-hmm. And so his parents are isolated on their own little island in their own little house. And now Sean is isolated, literally in his wheelchair, in his own home. And he has approached his dad and said, I'm not going to be like you. I'm physically fit. I go to the gym. I eat well. I educate myself. I'm working on my mental health. I'm working on my physical health, my emotional health. Dad, I'm not going to be like you, and I'm not going to be like your mom and dad. And you're going to have to make a choice because we're adults here. I'm in my 40s. We're making conscious choices as adults.
To be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And he said, Dad, I'm going to walk out that door and I'm going to slam it. And I'm going to slam it on the choices that grandma and grandpa have made and the choices that you have made. And I'm going to tell you that I'm slamming the door on the choices and not on you as a person.
I like this person.
And I'm going to walk out the door, but I want you to know that it's your job to open it. It's your job to figure out how to open that door. Because I know how to open the door, and I'm going out. I'm going to go live in the world, and I'm going to connect to all kinds of people, and I'm going to have all kinds of amazing relationships. And I'm going to have a partner, and I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to do the whole thing, Dad. I'm going to have friend groups. I'm going to do all of it. And you are most welcome to be part of it as my dad. You got to make healthy decisions to be a part of your own life in a healthy way. And then, Dad, you can come and you can be part of my healthy life. But my healthy life is colliding and crashing and in conflict with your unhealthy life. And I'm going to pick me and my life over what you're doing. But I want you to know there's a difference. I want you to know that it's your choices that I reject and not you as a person. Mm-hmm. So I thank the spirit guides for all that. That's a lot. That's a ton of messages. So I said, okay, Sean, I said, I've got some stuff, and I repeated it. And I told him about the biological, female, male, and holy crap. When I said that, he was like, okay. He says, that's true. He goes, that's just true. Because you could see where he wanted to jump in, and he wanted to start saying some things about it. He wanted to go down that road of actually, this is my opinion and all of that. And I said, no. I said, you can't do that. I said, I don't care what your opinion is. I said, you called me to connect to your son's soul and to connect to the spirit world to give you messages. You said, open. I'm just going to do my job. And I said, I'm going to deliver everything for you. And I said, Sean, your response is your business and you have a right to it, whatever it is that you're going to do and how you're going to react. But that has nothing to do with me. I'm just giving you the messages.
And I like that you're saying that you have a right to your reaction, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean you have a right to reaction at me.
Yes.
Or in front of me. Like, you can react in the confines of your own home, in your own fucking privacy.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to hurt another human being.
Exactly. So he listened. He did. He listened to all of the messages. And I said, is that accurate? And he goes, well, I guess I have to answer you, boss? Like this.
Verbal abuse.
Yeah. And I said, don't talk to me like that. And he goes, what?
That's name calling.
Yeah. And I said, don't talk to me like that, Sean. I said, you can't speak to me like that. I'm not boss. And I said, you're not saying that in a nice way. You're saying that in a way to be verbally abusive. And I'm aware of the 15 forms of verbal abuse. And I said,
come at me.
Yeah. And I said, he goes, what? I didn't even know there were 15 forms of verbal abuse. And I went,
I bet you do. I bet you do. And you just don't know what they're called.
That's
because I'm sure you are exercising at least 14 of them.
Yeah. And I said, Sean, I'm going to send you resources at the end of the session if you would like. May I have permission to send them? And I didn't think he was going to say yes, Kelly. And he goes, yeah, okay. And I said, I will confirm your email address at the end.
You didn't think he was going to say yes? Of course he was going to say yes. This is just more opportunity for a 1-star review.
Oh, true. So anyway, so I did send him the resources at the end, but I said, Sean, there's a book by Patricia Evans called The Verbally Abusive Relationship. It has 15 forms of verbal abuse in it. What you just did to me, just in that one sentence, was verbally abuse me, and I reject your verbal abuse, and I set a boundary. That's not how you're going to talk to me. And he said, oh, okay. And he's just flustered. He just doesn't even know how to respond.
Which, in Sean's defense, is fair.
Yes.
Because if all you have known is to verbally abuse someone, how do you then go forward and engage in any kind of different conversation?
That's right.
I'd be flustered too. Yeah. It's like saying to someone, you can continue to speak to me, but you may not speak to me in English. And they don't know another language.
That's a really good way to word it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what, Kelly? That's where we're at. And I can feel that energetically. I can feel, and I sit in silence when I feel. So I'm sitting in my silence, as I've said, and you won't speak to me like that. And then there's this silence, but I'm gauging the silence. I'm gauging his emotions. I'm doing my mirror touch synesthesia where I simply want to pick up what's he feeling. I want to hear his thoughts. Where's he going? Is he actually just trying to go to, how do I attack her next? Or am I sitting here and I really am in my confusion? I don't know what to do. And I was delighted. I was delighted to feel that he was in complete chaos. He didn't go straight into the next form of, I'll just come out with another form of abuse. He literally sat there in, I don't know how to respond. I don't know what to say.
Okay, hang on. Because I think for anyone just joining the podcast, welcome. This tough episode. Karen said, I'm delighted that he was in chaos. And I think some people could be like, wow, what a bitch. Chaos is opportunity,
Yes.
right? Yes, it can be a little bit dangerous or it can feel dangerous, but it's also an opportunity. And one of the best definitions or concepts that I've ever heard about chaos was from Glennon Doyle, where it is a sifting,
Yeah.
right? So in chaos, we sift to figure out what we will keep. And so Sean is sitting in chaos, and the delight is he is actually trying to sift through his way of speaking, his way of participating or not participating in relationships.
Yeah.
Or in his own life, period.
Yeah. And I said, I'm okay to sit in silence while you think. And he went, pardon?
Yeah, no parent has given him that patience or that space to just be without being attacked.
Yeah.
So what you're offering is terrifying and beautiful.
Yeah. And he goes, you're what? And there's some stuttering, and I hear a puff of his, like, when they suck in on a cigarette, like,
Synesthetically.
yes, so I know. And it's like, I'm just like, oh my God, I wish he wasn't smoking right now. I can taste it. This is so gross for me. I can smell it. It's just so disgusting on my end. But I can't really make any comments. I just have to sit in all of my own discomfort. And I said to the spirit guides, if you could turn down the synesthesia,
Be fucking great. Thanks.
I would so appreciate this, please.
We have enough accuracy going on. I don't need that.
Yes. Just turn off smell and taste right now. Feelings are fine, but Jesus, if you could just turn down the other two, I'd be so grateful for this.
Yep.
So anyway, and it, as you know, it does end. Those gifts do turn off at that point, or, close after that. We had some silence there. And I just sat with him. So while we're sitting there in the silence, I said to the spirit guides, is there anything else I'm supposed to be doing here? We're running close to the end of the time. And the spirit guides said, yeah, we'd like you just to tell him that his emotions are dysregulated, that they have been dysregulated his entire life because of his parents. Explain because of his parents. Put this on his parents. And I'm like, okay, we really want you to do that. He's going to ask you to explain dysregulation. You're running out of time. We realize you'll send him resources, but please point out that it's not his fault. This is huge because part of his biggest issue of why he's eating is that he thinks he has deserved to live his life like this. Mm-hmm. He is suffering incredibly, Karen. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. So I said, Sean, the spirit guides want you to have another message. We're running out of time. I have to get it in quickly. Would this be okay with you? And he goes, yeah, okay. And I said, you have grown up and were raised in a dysregulated home. You have been in emotional dysregulation since the moment you were born. You never stood a chance to understand what it is to be regulated. And I said, and I also understand from the guides that you don't know what emotional dysregulation means, and that you don't really even understand what regulation means, other than that that being regulated in society means that there's a law.
Really? My head went to poop.
Oh,
if I am regulated, there's a predictability, there's a pattern, it's healthy, things are moving the way that they're supposed to, right? Like,
yes, that's
interesting.
So good, Kelly.
The laws of my body.
That's so good.
And then when you're dysregulated, you're texture can be inconsistent.
Yes.
Or the timing can be inconsistent. There's an unpredictability to it.
Yeah.
There's less probability that you
It
can
creates
predict.
mess.
Yeah.
I love this.
I think poo is a great way to explain to someone emotional regulation and dysregulation.
I do too. That's
Look,
brilliant.
you're constipated. Look, you got diarrhea, man.
Yeah, exactly. You're being messy. You're being stuck in something. You're not releasing. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, because it goes into the psychological terms of being anal expulsive or anal retentive.
Yeah, it does.
Right? And that also explains regulation or lack of.
I love it. So that conversation happened here between you and I for a podcast about poop. It did not happen in Sean's session, to be clear. Okay, good. I just explained in a very boring kind of way.
Your life will never be the same. You're welcome.
And I will forever use your explanation in sessions. But that's not how it happened for Sean. If you're listening, Sean, I'm sorry we did not have a better session. I just explained to him what happened from birth in a very boring way, but that his parents were dysregulated themselves, and that's what attracted them to each other, that they could perpetuate that, but it perpetuated suffering. And I used the word suffering. And as soon as I said that, he started crying.
Oh, okay.
And
Good job. You unlocked something.
Yeah, thank you. And then I said, Sean, and it has created your suffering. And I said, but your suffering started at birth. And it started before you were born, when your mom was carrying you, simply because of who they were. But your son is inviting you to birth yourself into a different kind of you, but it's the authentic you. It's the you that has integrity. But it is a lot of work to find that you, because it is decades, many.
It's like searching for a body underneath an earthquake. And rubble, right?
Yeah. You're on fire today, girl.
Thank you.
With your analogies. Thank you. So I just said to him, your son is inviting you to life. And I said, and as far as he can see, it's been a life of suffering, and he's inviting you to a life of hard work with joy. And he went, oh my God, like this. He goes, this is terrible. And I said, oh, really? Why? He goes, because I can't write that review about you now.
Oh, did he have it like pre-written?
I don't know. I didn't know that. He goes, oh.
You could still write a review, Sean. It could be a 5-star, lovely adjectives.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go, I don't think his pendulum will swing that far, Kelly.
Maybe one day.
Okay, we'll hold
I won't
hope.
be limerent.
Okay. I just said to him, look, I said, what's really important here is that your son is seeing something in you. He sees that you haven't lived.
I also want to say, too, that is another form of verbal abuse, of deflection.
Yes.
Right? He's receiving one of the biggest messages reiterated from the guides that his son is inviting him to life. And he deflected with a comment that I can't write a review about you.
That's correct. It
was off topic.
Yes. And there were many times during the session where I did have to bring him back and say, that's another form of verbal abuse. That's another form of verbal abuse. I just didn't want this whole podcast to be about me verbally correcting somebody.
Yeah, but I'm a 1 and my communication style is teaching. So you had to know that was going to happen.
Yes.
And I want to say too, deflection happens when we are not feeling like we are in a safe space to receive.
Right.
And again, this is not me pointing a finger and blaming him. I'm saying obviously he chose these forms of communication of verbal abuse because of his emotionally stunted capacity, right?
Yes.
So deflection is him saying, I can't receive in this moment what you are offering me. Therefore, here.
I hope I get another session with Sean someday so that we actually could go through that conversation around deflection, because he did it so much in the session. But in honesty, and I know you understand this because you do the very same thing, I didn't have enough time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's other points that you need to make.
Yes. And as much as I want to take a teachable moment and say, whoa, can we talk about what's actually happening here repetitively, by the way? I want to stick to the messages and do the channeling so that it doesn't become where he's writing a Google review about me that I never channeled once and that I pretended I was a therapist.
I mean, he could write that anyway.
Oh,
Fuck, we might have that review after this podcast if Sean ever listens. Kelly, who does not have a PhD, thinks she's a therapist. They call it coffee with the Sarlos, but really,
Did they drink coffee?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some would argue it's not coffee, though. Some assholes would tell me that this is not coffee.
Right.
I digress.
Kelly, I want to say thank you because you've added so much value to the podcast in helping us get through a really difficult session by bringing humor to it, by bringing education to it, and then mixing the two together.
Thanks.
You've made it relatable to other people, which really is phenomenal because I think in so many ways, some of us can find a little piece of ourselves in Sean.
Well, that's the whole point of this show. That's the whole point of storytelling, right? Like storytelling is for people to learn and draw parallels. And if you're listening just to listen, like go do something better with your day. We're not here just to rack up views and numbers, and I think our analytics reflect that. We're here for people to actually do deep work.
Yeah. So we get to the end of his session because it was a half-hour booking.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I say of course because half-hour bookings for your first time experience are people who want an out.
Yes.
Just in case you suck.
Yes. And they don't want to lose too much money.
Or too much time, but they will say, I approve and like what you're doing. Can you give me another half hour right now?
Yes, that does happen frequently.
Yeah.
He did not, however.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, he just his ending isn't neat and tidy.
Not a happy ending?
I don't know about that. I don't think it was.
I was trying to be funny.
Okay. He's just
Because of the porn on his desk. Go on. That was low. Go ahead.
Oh my God, you're so funny today. It just wasn't neat and tidy. He just really ended it really short and abruptly. He didn't want to say anything. And it was just like, okay, our session is over. And it literally was just a click. Because it was a phone call. It really was just, I'm done and I'm out. But And I don't know how to really tidy this up for listeners in a really wonderful way that he learned wonderful things.
He didn't.
No.
That might sink in decades from now. I think it's really cool, like, just speaking from someone or as someone who thinks you're the very best at this and has been a client of yours as well. Like, I look at 1-star reviews on our Facebook or Google or wherever you put reviews. And I have the privilege of looking at that and being like, okay, where was this person in their own life, in their own psyche, in their own heart when they wrote this? Because given the consent process that you go through, given the relationship that you have with the spirit world and how you take impeccable care. I want to start my sentence over. You take impeccable care of your relationship with the spirit world and impeccable care of all of the souls who book appointments with you. So when I see a 1-star review, I do get to think, man, where was that human that they interpreted it as a 1-star experience? Because I know the quality that you give. And that is never the actual case, because let's be fucking honest, the spirit guides don't give a 1-star experience.
That's true. They give 5 stars every single
time.
Fully lit, fully.
They show up tenfold,
Yeah.
as do you, and that's my point. And so I see those 1 or 2 stars, and it's just like, that human's hurting. Okay, that's okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know that drums up fear in us for sure in some ways, where other people who don't listen to this won't understand that. They'll see the 2 or the 1 star and think, oh, they're not that great. And it's just like, it's unfortunate that we as humans take our emotional experience irresponsibly into a review of someone's performance, right? Instead of trying to resolve our emotional state first or to understand our emotional state first.
And there's your tie to the dysregulated emotions.
Yeah.
Being shown all over Google,
Yeah, it's just
all
diarrhea.
over Facebook in reviews.
Yeah, it's the diarrhea
You got it.
of life.
You got it. And the people that think, just like Sean, that this is fun.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, there are valuable 1-star reviews. And they're valuable when they speak in a regulated way, when they speak authentically to say of a service, right, or a product, this is why, in a factual way, this thing did not function or did not deliver in a way that it promised to deliver. I tried to resolve this with staff. I asked the right questions. And I don't mean defensively, but if you can, in a regulated way, say, I made every attempt to make this situation great. I didn't just leave it on another person in a one-sided relationship. Then that's a valuable 1-star review. Because that can let me know this person did everything they could. They took personal responsibility.
Yes. Yeah. Kelly, thank you so much. You added such quality to this show. I am so proud to be your mom. We got to start with that one first.
Ditto with your daughter.
And I'm so proud to be your coworker and co-host.
Same. Thanks for listening to Coffee with the Sarlos. If you enjoyed the show today, help spread the love with a like, share, or review of the podcast. See you next Saturday with a brand new episode.